What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to 3-Star Draw. I am Down South 77. I hope you are having a fantastic May the Power of the Force. This is the sequel. This is May the Power of the Force Part 2. Did this last year, this convergence of different content creators doing reviews on figures from the original Power of the Force 2 line from the 90s into the early 2000s. This year, as you know, we are doing prequel figures. So I hope everybody enjoys it. It's a good chance to see some content from some creators you might otherwise not know, and everybody has different styles, and everybody's doing this in styles that may not be their usual style. It's just a time to have some fun and look at some older figures and really celebrate Star Wars, no matter what our opinions of it nowadays are. We're hearkening back to the good old days of Star Wars, which was really the first 3 movies. I mean, come on, let's be honest. So my character, my figure that I have picked to review for this year's May the Power of the Force is a character from my favorite of the prequel trilogy, which, as I have come to understand it, is a lot of people's least favorite movie in the prequel trilogy. And I am, of course, talking about Attack of the Clones. That's right. I like Attack of the Clones. It probably has the worst dialogue in all of Star Wars, but it had some really awesome stuff we'd never seen before. I'm going to keep waving this around till you believe it. We had Yoda with a lightsaber, Yoda throwing force lightning back at Christopher Lee as a Sith. Christopher freaking Lee was a Sith in this movie, and about 15 minutes into the next one, but we'll save that for somebody else. We got to see the clones, and for the first time ever, we got to see all of the Jedi fight together. Never seen that before in live action. It was amazing. Got to see Jango Fett's rise and fall, all in this movie. And so the character that I picked is from this movie, and he is kind of a pivotal character when you think about it. Kind of moved up the Empire's plans, although they wasn't called the Empire then. Kind of moved their plans up, I think, just a little bit. And I'm going to talk about this guy, and I'm going to give you a little bit of my backstory on this guy, because there's more to this guy than meets the eye. I know that's another IP, but we're going to talk about Dexter Jettster. Look at this dude. This is who we're going to be looking at today. So we get to meet Dexter Jettster in Attack of the Clones, basically because Jango Fett cheaps out and either partners with or subcontracts the hit on Padme, who is a senator and a former freaking queen. That's a hell of a demotion. And botches the hit. He hires the most inept bounty hunter he could find, who tries to take her out in the most convoluted way imaginable, knowing she was guarded by both Jedi and droids, and tries to kill her with slugs. I did say this was my favorite one, didn't I? So Zam Wesell, the most inept bounty hunter on Coruscant, not only fails miserably in her attempt to take out Padme, not only does she get apprehended by Anakin and Obi-Wan cuts her arm off from like here up, because it's Star Wars and somebody's got to lose a hand or an arm. So all that happens, they take her outside to question her, and bam, she gets taken out by Jango Fett with a dart. In a universe where everybody has a laser gun that goes in a straight line, unless it hits a reflective surface, he shoots her with a traceable dart, and then they see him fly away. Now that I think about it, maybe Zam Wesell is not the most inept bounty hunter on Coruscant. So now we come to the part of the story where we get to meet Dexter Jettster. Obi-Wan has the poison dart, and we don't know it until the scene unfolds, but the analysis droids cannot find the origin of the dart. Nobody knows where it came from. So Obi-Wan goes to see his old friend Dexter Jettster, and this is where the story gets interesting. So the scene starts out zooming in on this really awesome retro futuristic building that turns out to be like a 50s diner. If you ever played Call of Duty Black Ops, think of like future Nuketown. If you don't know what that is, just Google it and you'll see it's that aesthetic. Kind of gives off a 50s diner feel. And when you first see Dexter, he is behind the window and he just looks like a dude. He looks like a cook. He looks like the cook that's back there cooking up the food, which he is. But there is much more to Dexter Jettster than just being a overweight, greasy, four-armed, shrunken, ball-sack, dragon-headed dude. A whole lot more. See, Dexter Jettster, back in his younger days, he was into some stuff, man. He was actually a crime lord. That is right. Dexter Jettster was a big timey crime boss back in the day. That is how he knows Obi-Wan. Sure, he has the diner. He's the cook at the diner, but he owns the diner. The diner's name is Dex's Place. That's what the diner's called. Real subtle, right? Well, he doesn't just own the diner. Dex owns the whole block. He owns a lot of real estate in Coruscant. How do you think he made all that money? He didn't make it slinging stuff at the diner. He made all of his money from his criminal enterprise. He's a basilisk. You know who Basilisk's main enemies are? Right, they're the Hutts. They do not get along, and a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, they had to divide up where each of them was gonna kind of rule over. The Hutts got some of the inner territories, and Basilisks got some of the outer territories out in the outer rim. Beyond the outer rim, they're like, we dragon people, we can make it out here, so we're gonna do what we do. So he put together a gang, and he was actually a pirate, and they robbed the prospectors on Subterrale. All them planets out there, they had on lockdown, making hand over fist. There was a big spice mine on Subterrale. A lot of people didn't know about it, but Basilisk knew, Dexter knew, so they jacked all that freight, all that cargo, traded out there. That's why he knows what the saber darts are, because Camino is way out there. Not a lot of people know about Camino. He knows because he's been there. Who do you think is selling stuff to these Caminoans? They don't leave the planet. They're water people. They just stay out there on their little floaty palaces cloning stuff. They don't go anywhere. All their stuff that they can't grow is brought into them.
These are Caminoans. Keep to themselves. They're cloners. Damn good ones, too.
Dex went there originally to try to take over that planet and realized it would be more beneficial if he had a trade relationship with the Caminoans. He actually had a couple Caminoans on his payroll that he used for various things whenever they were on water planets, so he knew what the saber darts were. He knew some of those Camino assassins. Why do you think they developed saber darts? They had assassins on Camino too. So you've got Dexter Jettster, Basilisk, got the Jettster family out here running the entire outer territory, and there really was not anybody else that would dare mess with the Jettster family. There were only two. There were the Hutts, who, as we know, ran everything on the interplanetary systems. They're based on Tatooine. They had other bases on other planets. They had all that. They had all that sewed up. But you got Dexter out there, and the only other one is Black Sun, and Black Sun really had not made theirself known yet. They preferred to pull strings from the shadows. It would be a few more years before Black Sun really made their mark, and that was when you first got to see Shizor and that whole thing. So you got Dexter out there, and what happens? He's out there, he's robbing people. He's got his people that are jacking freight. They're doing a little bit of everything out there. They're slinging death sticks. Eventually, the Jedi are going to show up. It is, if there's one inevitability in Star Wars, some damn where the Jedi are going to show up. And that's what happened. Was they showed up on one of these backwater planets, and it just happened to be a planet that Dexter was on, and they had this big fight. They radioed in, they holocroned in, and they talked to Master Yoda and Mace Windu and Ki-Adi-Mundi and told them what was going on. They're like, even though it's the Outer Rim, and you know the Outer Rim is its own thing, we can't allow that because they're bringing that stuff in. We can't be having that on Coruscant, and some of that stuff's making its way here, so shut them down. So Obi-Wan, a couple other Jedi, they had this big all-out brawl, and they barely were able to defeat Dex and his band of pirates because he had people, he was calling reinforcements in from parsecs away out near Kessel. So they brought in all of these people. They had this giant fight, and they wound up working out a deal. Obi-Wan and Dexter sat down, and they went in, had an intermediary. They sat down and they talked about business in the universe, talked about what Dex was doing, and Dex was like, "Man, I'm not coming in. Like, I'll go in cold. Like, it ain't happening." So he talked to Obi-Wan, and they worked out. Basically, they would let Dex go if he could move in, if he would come move to Coruscant, give up most of his business. They were still going to let him keep a little bit of it, but he had to relinquish most of it, move to Coruscant so they could keep an eye on him, and he had to inform. So basically, they turned Dexter Jettster into Whitey Bulger. He was the Whitey Bulger of Coruscant, so he had to leave out there where he was at, prospecting, running his gang, prospecting, right? He had to give all that up and move to Coruscant, but they let him keep a lot of his assets because he had to keep that information flowing. He had to keep reaching out to people. He had to keep doing stuff. So what they wound up doing, what they worked out, he bought the block right down the street from the Jedi building. Is right down there at 1977 Empire Boulevard. His was right down the street, and he bought that whole block, and he based his operation out of Dex's Diner. Every now and then, some Jedi would come in and be like, "Hey, you know anything about these darts? You know, let's go sit down." Dex would talk to them. They'd get their information. Dex would go on making his calls, running his empire on a scaled down version. They couldn't let him have too much of it. But so Dex was basically the Whitey Bulger of the Star Wars universe. And he and Obi-Wan developed a friendship. Obi-Wan let him live. Obi-Wan let him keep part of his empire. That's why they embraced when Obi-Wan come in, and they acted like old friends, because so long had gone by. They actually were friends. Now, at that time, Dexter was like 700 years old. Basilisks are some of the longest lived species in the entire galaxy. I don't know if you know that. There's only very few species that live longer than basilisks. So he had plenty of wisdom by the time Obi-Wan met him, and he knew a good deal when he saw it. Set up shop. Now, his diner there, it was legit. But I tell you what, I wouldn't eat there. He was still conducting business. Dex was still running his show in a scaled back format, but it was also more localized to Coruscant. Coruscant, the whole planet, is one big city. There's a lot of stuff that can happen. A lot of people go missing in a planet-sized city. Let me tell you, I would not eat at Dex's Diner. You hear the waitress. He's got a waitress named WA7, WA7. They called her Flo. Where have we seen that already in this video? And her nickname was Flo. You heard her when Obi-Wan come in, right? What'd she ask him?
You want a cup of Jawa juice?
Yeah, you want a cup of Jawa juice? Jawa juice? I don't want no damn Jawa juice. I'll tell you that. They're made out of real Jawas. You know what Dex's Diner is, it is a front where he runs his business. You know what other business was a front that sold food and meats? Satriel's. I wouldn't eat there either. Dex's Diner was the Satriel's of Coruscant. So that is how all of that transpired. So now you know the story of Dexter Jettster by him giving Obi-Wan the info on the Camino darts. Obi-Wan goes to Camino, meets Jango Fett. He's seen Jango Fett with his two eyes already murder Zam Wessel, so he knows Jango is working for somebody else that wants Padme dead. So what'd you think was going to happen? And you wind when you leave a dart, man, like laser. You have a flamethrower on your wrist and you shoot a dart that can be traced back to the planet that you live on. So all of this sets up the Empire. I keep saying the Empire. It wasn't the Empire, but the bad guys, Palpatine. It pushes his timetable up. So Dex kind of messed stuff up. Some of the Jedi that did make it out of Order 66 that took place in Revenge of the Sith, they probably owe it to Dexter Jettster, because by Obi-Wan going to Camino, confronting Jango Fett, and the whole thing that ensued, the clones had to make their presence known before they were ready and before they were originally going to just show up as soldiers for Palpatine. Palpatine had to flip the script and make them come into the Republic army to fight the droid army, that he was running all of it, but he had to change his plan up, and that was all because of Dexter Jettster. So even though most of those Jedi's died, there probably would have been a lot more that would not have made it had Dex not sent Obi-Wan to Camino to find the clones, learn all about that operation, learn that there was some kind of setup that took place 20 years ago with the Jedi Master that was already supposed to be dead, and set everything in motion for the rest of the time. And the Jedi owe all that to a retired, semi-retired crime lord running a deli diner that is a front for criminal enterprise on Coruscant, right under their nose, but they know about it and let him operate. That's the story of Dexter Jettster. That's how he fits in and accelerated the entire timeline of the prequel trilogies, and why he is an awesome character. Let's get a look at the man of the hour, shall we? Mr. Dexter Jettster from Attack of the Clones. This card's a little bit beat up. We'll talk about it in a minute. But he's got his cleaver, got this knife here, got the Camino saber dart down here. I just dig this packaging. Now, if you don't know where in Attack of the Clones he is, his scene is at about the 31-33 mark if you want to skip to it. So if you need a refresher on Dex's scene, I don't know why you would if you're watching this video, but just skip ahead to it. So all right, here we go. Get a look at the packaging here. He's a pretty hefty figure. He's a pretty chunky guy. So I did always dig this packaging. You got the lightsaber up here. You got this border going around. It just harkens back to the classic figures. So this card's kind of beat up. I got a pretty good deal on this card. Somehow I managed to pick one of the more expensive figures in the line. I don't know how that happened, but some of these guys were pretty pricey. I think I paid $16 for mine. Some of them were way more than that. There was one all the way up to like $20, $22, I think. And it's a much better card than mine. You can see it's got the sticker tear up there. It's got some creases. Let's go ahead and look at the back. So up here, you get a little blurb about Dex and about Attack of the Clones. If you want to pause that and read it, I don't know, go ahead. I gave a much better story on him than that does, I do believe. So we get a couple shots of Dexter with his effects and his weapons there. You got your cross cell down here of some other figures. Here you've got a arena battle droid down here in the bottom left corner. We'll go ahead and get a look at those guys. You got Dexter, you got Plo Koon, who's got the weirdest name in all of Star Wars, and then you got a Genosian warrior, and I actually squash guys like that for a living. So you do have down here in the bottom left corner, that might be a little low. There we go. 2002 Lucasfilm and all of the legal mumbo jumbo down there. So you do see how old this figure is. And if you notice, if I hold it up in camera, right there we go. Now we can see it. So if you notice, all this stuff is, of course, in English. You didn't have all of the many languages back then on these cards. So just something to point out the differences that they do the packaging. More figures coming soon. There is always more figures coming soon in Star Wars. All right, it's time to check this dude out. We talked enough about him, all his stuff in here. It's time to get him out, see what he looks like. See if we can get Dexter free from his plastic prison. This glue's 22, 23 years old, so ought to come out pretty easy, I would think. Let me go ahead and try to grab this bubble at the top. I'm not too interested in saving this card. It's already kind of messed up here, so normally I would take some care in the cards, but I'm going to toss this card. So, it wasn't too hard to come off. It popped out, and he's taped in there too. Okay. See if we can go ahead and get all of his stuff out over here, get him popped out. We'll take a look at him in just a minute. Oh, there's some tape on here. Look at the tape's just peeling off. So there we go. Get that thing out of there. There's his vibro cleaver. Cool little effect on there. We'll take a look at that in just a second. Ooh, look how flimsy that knife is. Got to get to the saber dart down there. So we'll go ahead and get that thing out as well. And boy, it don't want to come out of there. Hang on a minute. Let me try and work on this tape. There we go. Man, they did not want that to come out, but that's going to be a piece that's pretty easily lost anyway. So make sure when you open your Dexter Jettster, you take some extra care not to lose the dart. Go ahead and look at it since we've got it in our hand. Right up there is evidently, the tip where the poison is, right there in the middle, almost like a little syringe that injected it. Not a whole lot to this thing. It's all one color, which is a kind of a weird brown. That seems like an odd choice for it. A little bit of sculpting on it, not bad. Your 3 points there to it. Go ahead and take a look at the vibro axe right there. I think I saw a vibro cleaver, I'm sorry, is what it's called. It is I don't know what you do with the vibro cleaver, but you can clearly see that it does come with jaw blood. Jaw blood is blue. I don't know if you guys know that, so that's why it's real flexible. It's almost like a plasma, like a ooze, but he does come with that jaw blood. That's not an electricity effect. I like the cleaver, just chop, 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 and here's some Ginsu sharpening there. Look at the hilt here. It does have some pretty nice sculpting on it. It's got the uh, part down the middle. I'm not sure what you call that on the axe to help it slice through, or the cleaver to slice through. So we'll go ahead and check the knife out. I dig this knife. It's got this almost kind of trench knife looking look to it. You can see the rivets in the handle there. You got these sawtooth blades in the back, this serrated part back here. That is for getting through jaw and necks, because you got to saw through a jaw and neck. They got really, really, really tough muscles. So you just stab them, and you get the idea. So Dex here, let's check out his articulation, taking a look at him, get him up close, move all four of these arms around. So every arm is articulated. I always want to try and move the wrist or move them up at the bicep here. Since I've kind of been messing with classifieds, but he can't really hitch his pants up. You see that in the movie. So he's trying to hitch his pants. Does have some dreadlocks back there, looks like, tied into a ponytail in the back. So I can identify with that. And he's got this weird, it's not hair. I don't know. It looks like some of those fossils you see or something. Maybe, what is it? Like maybe an armored possum. Armadillo, that's what I was thinking. So down here you got some detail on the back where he's sweaty. You got his handkerchief here. Over here, you got on his arms. Check out these knuckle tattoos. I told y'all Dex has been through some stuff, man. Got some pretty nice looking paint on there, a little bit of wash. Dex has got a wrist tattoo where, you guys know that I'm definitely digging the wrist tattoo. You see mine in every video. Got this logo over here on his shirt. Nice sculpting in this guy. Look at his face. I mean, it for being a figure for the early 2000s, it's got a pretty good level of detail on it. See his belly there hanging out between his shirt and his apron, and he does swivel at the waist, so you can really turn him pretty much all the way around there. So now he's walking backwards looking like a cartoon. Oh no. So you can get him running, and he's chasing down some jaws. I do like the sculpt here on the belly, but check out the stains. Like he looks nasty. He's got these stains all over his shirt. Look like mustard stains. I don't know. Seems like there should be some blue stains on there too from that jaw blood. But I do like the detail in this. It does actually have a lot of different sculpted stuff in it. So on his arms, he's got these little warts and things. He does have with it 3 fingers, 4 fingers on each hand. I got 3 daughters, each of which have 3 fingers on each hand. Legs move independent, kind of a cowboy stance to him there, so you can get him like he's running, chasing some jaws down, and flailing his arms around. Just awesome looking figure. He's not all of the joints and stuff he's got. He's not super posable. You would think the fingers and things, it's kind of, they look like they're going to be kind of difficult to get the hands in. But again, I do like the detail. Ponytail does not move there. You get a little bit of movement out of his head. That big neck waddle kind of messes it up. But we're going to go ahead and set him down, see if we can get his weapons in his hands. So here we go. Let's see if we can get this checked out. Got everything in there. They do go in there kind of difficult. So it's hard to get them in there. We had to go grab Colt Cape Lando. Got to have him in the video from last year. So forgot to grab him and put him in there. So back to Dexter here. The knife goes in pretty easy, but those bottom hands, it was really difficult to get that cleaver in there, especially and keep the effect on it. It takes a minute to get it positioned, but see the way it's turned in there, kind of at at an angle, looks like he's kind of holding it out to the side. Weird. That's the only way that thing is going in there. He just cannot really grasp it very well. You don't have that much trouble with the knife up on top. So, back to his detail here, the cleaver will hit that. Like if you've got it trying to in the other way, the cleaver will hit his apron and pop out. So there's good look at about what you can do with him. Got him scratching his head, wondering what he's going to cook up next. How many jaws he going to saw through? You just never know with this guy. He's kind of unpredictable, but he does like his jaw delicacies. So, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. There is our look at Dexter Jettster from Attack of the Clones. I hope everybody has enjoyed this. I know it's been long. That's just the way we do it around here. Like to have fun and kind of make it up as I go. So anyway, everybody have a fantastic May the Power of the Force. I hope you enjoy the rest of the content for the rest of the month. And I will see you guys right back here on 3-Star Draw. You can take your right hand and this is a Camino Saber Dart. This is what he killed poor ass Zam Wessel with. Jawa blood is actually blue. Oh, nice. You wouldn't think that, but this is what goes in to your Jawa juice. Here he's got this kind of shell head here. Kind of looks like the top of a armored possum. What the are they called? Armadillo. The armadillo. It looks like an armadillo on his head. He's wearing an armadillo. He liked to pick up he liked to pick up roadie and hookers when he was out there. All right, we'll bring him in, and I'll grab his feet, and you can point at him with your pointer fingers and show him off. And that is Dexter Jettster, ladies and gentlemen. That they do absolutely hate the huts. Kind of looks like a ball sack too. There, look at me, look at me.